Good to go? Okay. What? Oh, my name is Zipporah professionally, but everybody knows me as Zippy, and this is my focus. Where are you originally from? I'm from Rainbird, South Carolina, kind of bumfuck in the middle of nowhere, like right outside of Sumter. The moment that I decided to take my art serious, I had like dropped out of high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was working at a smoke shop. We were in this strip with a tattoo shop. One of the tattoo artists came in and saw me doodling and was like, you could get paid for that. And so I was originally going to go the tattoo route, but then I find people who bodily fluids kind of gross, so ended up just sticking with paper and canvas. What inspired me to start making my monsters? I was inspired by Frico's son. About to be his first birthday. I was broke, didn't really know what to get him, so I just made something that I thought kids would like, and also I was looking for like a different way to express myself because I was kind of in a creative rut. What is my biggest struggle? What has been my biggest struggle coming up in the art scene? It was just really kind of like meeting people, and at that time I felt like the scene was a little cliquish, to be honest. It was kind of just having to play that game of like, I guess just like kind of brown nosing a little bit to try to get into certain circles with people and get in, I guess, my work in front of the right people. And also I compromised a lot and ended up kind of like, doing things that I didn't necessarily like, but that were commercial and trendy at the time, I guess, to kind of get into the art scene. I know that sounds horrible and selloutish, but that's what happened. What do I enjoy creating the most? I think it would be the monsters and stuff because it's like a little break from having to think so hard. I think like sometimes like when I paint, I think really hard about what I'm trying to create and what kind of message I'm trying to convey, whereas like the monsters are just purely for beauty's sake and just because they look so ridiculous, they're just really fun and make me feel good to do. What made me start getting tattoos? Had a lot of trouble expressing myself when I was angry. Also when I was just feeling kind of like down, and tattoos, more so than being like super important to me, were just kind of a way to like deal with things at whatever said time was, because it was still like some form of relief, I guess, and then they just happen to be beautiful. So like if I was going through like a really painful experience, which tattoos are most important? I don't really have super important tattoos. Like I said, sometimes I just get things to get them. I do have a Bootsy Collins tattoo though, and that's probably my favorite just because I feel like funk music was kind of like one of those first times I really got to see Black people being oddly expressive and creative in a way that wasn't just like typical or like, you know, I don't know. They were having like more fun, I guess, during that period. Opinions on people price haggling when buying artwork. I have a system where I break myself down into hours, whatever the project might actually entail. I would choose not to get paid for a project. Like say if I'm working with friends and in the spirit of like collaboration, then I would most times choose to waive my fees because we're working together on something. But as far as letting like the average customer price haggle, I price pretty fairly. My favorite art piece that I've created, I have a piece called The Whore, the Pig, and the Baby. It was probably the most controversial piece that I've ever made. I used to know a lot of sex workers back home, and there was just times where people had to get money and they had children and other things like that, and they would take them to work. I know that sounds horrible, but I feel like it was just like a very honest piece about things that I had seen in my life before. And it was like the first piece that I ever had where people either definitely hated it or loved it. Plans for the future. I think I just want to continue to like push myself outside of the box and not really have to look at art as one thing. For the longest time, I thought that I could only be successful if I was painting and that I had to package myself that way. So like fine art galleries and curators and things like that would have more interest in my work, and that was maybe the only way that I could have possibly been successful. But then I realized the more that I allow myself to be a little bit more fluid in my creativity, the happier I am, and actually the more that I produce, and in turn the more money that I make. So I want to continue to do that in the future, and I think I definitely want to set up some sort of foundation for younger people who kind of don't really know how to get started, because I feel like that's kind of like one of those big things with art. If you didn't go to school for it, a lot of times you don't know how to make money, you don't know how to market yourself, you don't really know how to turn it into something. So I think that I want to make a way to make that a little bit more visible and not so gatekeepy, which is something that I feel like a lot of people end up running into, and it kind of dampens their spirits before they even get started. So I think talked through it very quickly.
Good. Time.
No problem.